So she thinks it's not just brutal sort of oppression. She thinks in some ways lots of structural injustice is relatively invisible. It's relatively hard to see or even to know that it's going on. But that definitely doesn't make it any less real. Okay, so she has these five faces of oppression: exploitation. So, for instance, let's use the garment industry example she uses. People being paid very, very little to produce lots and lots of garments, working with very little sleep, working in unsafe conditions in which the factory walls might fall, and they might, die at any point. They are being exploited for their work, and someone is exploiting them specifically because they are making a profit. So she does think that a large factor in oppression is the fact that people extract profit by, for instance, making some people make clothes and then selling the clothes for £10, but only paying the people who made the clothes £5. She thinks that is exploiting people, so that contributes to it. Just the fact that we live in a society where the sort of goal of every company is to make profit, that contributes to this. Then marginalization is oppression as well, for her. So sort of saying that someone is different or in the minority, marginalizing, obviously based on race, for instance. It can be conscious or not conscious, or marginalizing people who are not, for instance, people who are disabled, someone in a wheelchair, for instance. If we design a building and it does not have accessibility, if we design an office block and it is very difficult for a disabled person to work in that office block, then we are contributing to oppression of disabled people because they cannot work for that company in that office block, and they can't have the opportunities that other people had. And so something really small like funding that office block or designing that office block is complicit with marginalization of that community or those people. Then there's powerlessness, so i.e., literally the fact that people are oppressed by not having power, not being able to change laws or things like that in society. So that's a relatively easy one, I suppose. Then there's cultural imperialism, okay? And this, she says, is quite an important one, that makes oppressed groups invisible, or not sort of real people. They only exist as a stereotype. So, for instance, if the cultural vision of a person is, why don't we say, so for instance, let's take the example of a cultural vision of a businessman. We even use the word businessman still, not business person. We can say someone who works in business. Most people immediately imagine a suit, a tie, and a man. And Marion Young says that itself, even us just having ideas of what a businessman is, what a doctor is, we stereotype women or other races or whatever as being weak or as being stupid or whatever it might be.